There's an obvious way that Zack Snyder can be brought into the new DCU. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Snyder was known for directing many of the DCU's movies, including Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. The director eventually moved away from the superhero universe to direct some of his passion projects like Army of the Dead and Rebel Moon, but that doesn't rule Snyder out from returning to the DCU under Gunn. James Gunn's new DCU is now in full swing, putting to bed the past films and series in the DCU, including many of Zack Snyder's works. However, the new DCU has a project on its slate that would be perfect to reintegrate Snyder into the cinematic book universe. Finding the right DCU project for Snyder would be an easy way to appease these fans and give the director a chance to return to his comic book movie expertise. One issue lies in Snyder's reluctance to return to the DC world. In December 2023, Snyder told The Atlantic he was not knocking on James Gunn's door, asking to be let back into the DC. However, he also expressed interest to The Hollywood Reporter at the time in making a Dark Knight Returns adaptation for the DCU, so there's a chance the right project could bring him back. The old DCU was heavily influenced by the tone and style of Zack Snyder. While James Gunn and Peter Safran's new DCU is going in a different direction, that doesn't mean it can't still incorporate other directors' visions. In fact, bringing Snyder back could actually be of benefit to the new DCU as the director brings with him a passionate fanbase eager to see him take on more superhero projects. Early in 2023, Gunn and Safran announced The Authority, which has been described as DC's version of The Boys. The Authority features a team of heroes gathered from Wildstorm Comics, one of whom will make an appearance in 2025 Superman. The group is something of an anti-Justice League and, while they are good-intentioned, the group is more cynical and aggressive in their methods to protect the planet. As for what that project might be, it can't be something he has done before. The character of Superman is being taken over by Gunn himself in the 2025 Superman reboot, and Batman is handled by multiple directors in Matt Reeves' The Batman Part 2 and Andy Muschietti's The Brave and the Bold. Instead, Snyder needs a DC project that takes him back to his roots and suits his darker tone and sensibilities. Luckily, there is such a project on the docket for the DCU's first phase. No filmmaker is presently attached to The Authority, although Gunn has made it clear the concept is a passion project of his. However, the director is already quite busy directing Superman, writing Creature Commandos Season 2, and overseeing the entire DCU slate. It's possible, and almost likely, that Gunn won't have time to board the project as a director, but he could attach himself to it as a writer. In some ways, The Authority is similar to Alan Moore's Watchmen, which was a satirization and deconstruction of the superhero genre. One filmmaker who knows about Watchmen is Snyder, who directed a film adaptation of the graphic novel in 2008. Watchmen may have earned middling reviews, but that doesn't derail Snyder's experience and understanding of the superhero genre. Directing a project like The Authority would allow Snyder to play in the new DCU while returning to his darker Watchmen roots, giving him essentially a third chance at the superhero genre. The two creatives clearly make a good writer-director duo, so The Authority seems like the perfect project to reunite Gunn and Snyder. The Authority also serves as the perfect re-entry point for Snyder back into the comic book movie universe in a way that appeases fans of the Snyderverse while still allowing the director a fresh chance at the superhero genre. In 2023, Gunn mentioned to Collider that he'd already written much of the outline for The Authority himself, so he could potentially bump himself up to write the script and then bring in another director to take it from there. When it comes to choosing that director, Snyder is a logical choice given his and Gunn's work history. In 2004, the duo worked together on Dawn of the Dead, which was Snyder's breakout hit as a director thanks to a script that was penned by Gunn. To this day, Dawn of the Dead remains one of Snyder's most acclaimed works. This actor was supposedly set to be a big part of the DCU had it continued. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. A recent interview confirmed the actor who would have played Batman in Zack Snyder's Flashpoint film, and it is the perfect choice. The Flashpoint movie was just one of many DC comic stories Snyder wanted to tackle with his DCU but never got the chance to, with the superpowered universe being rebooted on the backs of James Gunn and Peter Safran. Years after the end of Zack Snyder's DCU, the Man of Steel director's ever-so-perfect pick for a Flashpoint Batman actor was finally confirmed. From 2013 to 2017, Snyder shepherded DC Comics' on-screen brand. The filmmaker never realized the full extent of his DC vision, being taken off 2017's Justice League and, thus, out of the franchise entirely. That has not stopped the filmmaker from sharing his extensive plans for the future of the Blue brand, including tackling the iconic Flashpoint DC comic story. He then revealed that there were initial plans for him to play a Flashpoint version of Batman in the DCU, but those ideas never came to fruition. There was a time when Flashpoint Batman would have seen these two characters in a much bigger role, Morgan explained. So I don't think... The idea was, truthfully, that Zack was going to do more movies, and that I think that there was a time when Flashpoint Batman would have seen these two characters in a much bigger role. We never got a chance to do that, unfortunately. But it was the first time that Lauren and I met. I remember meeting her for the first time, and she had just started The Walking Dead, and I was a huge fan. Speaking with Den of Geek, Walking Dead star Jeffrey Dean Morgan disclosed that he was in talks to play Zack Snyder's Flashpoint Batman before the DCU was rebooted. Talking about the first time he and his Walking Dead co-star Lauren Cohen met, Morgan described getting to play Thomas and Martha Wayne together in Snyder's Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. Question: I'm sure this has been brought up in the past, but I don't think I ever looked it up myself. Was it Zack Snyder's purpose to kind of play a joke on people by having you both play Thomas and Martha Wayne, or was it like your suggestion or something like that at that point? Morgan: that was the first time we'd ever met or worked together, so this is well before. Cohen: oh my gosh, I just forgot that. Just literally forgot that. This is not the first time Morgan commented on the idea of playing an alternate universe Batman, telling fans in 2022 that Michael Keaton's casting in The Flash was the longtime Batman actor swooping in and taking his gig. He joked that it was serendipitous that the Man of Steel filmmaker brought him and Cohen together before they shared the stage in The Walking Dead. So I remember peppering her with a lot of questions about The Walking Dead. But no, I think Zack, luckily, just put us together. I don't know why or how, other than maybe thinking into the future what could happen. I think you'd have to ask Scott M. Gimple, 'cause maybe more of the joke is him casting us opposite each other. Zack Snyder's Flashpoint may have been stopped in its tracks before fans ever got to see it, but that does not mean the project was a completely known quantity. Zack Snyder's Flashpoint film never saw the light of day. However, some assumed elements from the project made their way into 2023's The Flash film starring Ezra Miller and Michael Keaton. Instead of any further stories in Snyder's vision of the interconnected comic book universe, the DCU will be rebooted this summer with the release of James Gunn's long-awaited Superman movie. Despite the movie seemingly being divorced from alternate universes, unlike many current superhero affairs, Superman borrows a multiversal villain for one of the film's main antagonists. The movie would have likely served as a culmination of the first era of Snyder-led DC storytelling, being one of the Blue brand's biggest multiversal stories and essentially creating the DC multiverse and changing the continuity forever. Jeffrey Dean Morgan previously said appearing in the Flashpoint movie would have been very fun, but with the DCU reboot incoming, fans will now never get the chance to see it. Also, at this point, the Flash movie would have reportedly served as a key building block toward the event film, and it would have ended by reboot the universe and introduce a new cast. This could have seen characters like the OG Snyder DCU Trinity swapped out for other actors,